So this is Emporia State University. To my right we have Visser Hall, which is where I personally spend a lot of time being a elementary education major. We also have a lot of classes for psychology majors in there as well, but as I mentioned, a lot of the classes for elementary and secondary teachers are held in Visser. Coming up on my right is Butcher Education Center. You can find a lot of sociology classes in there. And we also have our on-campus daycare in there as well. Right. So as you see, like I said, Butcher Education Center. This isn't a very busy time on campus just because a lot of people are in class. So there isn't too many people to see. This is one of the busiest parts of campus, just because in between classes you can barely drive through it because there's so many people walking across. On my left side is Morris Hall. These are the upperclassmen dorms, and if you look over there to my left, you can see the towers, which most students live in during their full freshman year. But after that, sophomore through senior, you usually live in Morris or off campus. I know Morris holds a lot of our international students. It's very popular with them, with their housing choices. To my right is Kramer Hall. It's where a lot of technology is, I believe. I'm not too familiar with that building. I haven't had any classes in there. As we continue through campus, we can see a lot of our buildings from this point. This is still Morris on my left-hand side. And still Kramer as well. Both buildings are pretty large. Campus is so beautiful this time of the year, with it being fall. Coming up on my right is the Science Hall. The little greenhouse being the first thing that we can see here. This building holds all the science classes and some math classes as well. Of course, now I remember with Kramer, I do have some friends that are in classes in there, and I know it's a lot of business type classes, which explains why I'm never personally in there. So now we're passing Brookelman Science Hall. Like I said, math, computer science, economics, biology, all sorts of good stuff. On my left, we are still at Morris Hall, but that is where we have our Student Wellness Center. Since it's going to be fall, a lot of us are getting very sick, so probably getting busy. Here we have Brighton Lecture Hall, which holds some of the bigger computer type classrooms, so a lot of math type courses in that classroom. If we look in front of us, we're going to see Plum Hall. Plum Hall has a lot of our history and other social sciences type classes. And then we aren't going to go that way, but if we continued on through there, we would get to the library. But if we continued through this walkway, we would get to the Memorial Union. Memorial Union holds the cafeteria, holds the welcome center. You can find a lot of students there in between classes. And then if we continued up through that way, we would get to Roosevelt Hall, Beach Hall, and the art building. But I think that concludes most of our tour. Like I said, this is Memorial Union, and this was Emporia State University.